How do I keep the clients I've already got coming back for more again and again? Most freelancers spend 90% of their energy trying to find new clients. But here's the truth. You don't build a business by constantly starting over. You build a business by stacking what works. Not only did my business become more predictable, it became more sizable. I was compounding my revenue. Every new client meant years of income, not just whatever the length of that project was. Listen, I've lived that life, that early freelance hustle of try to find 100 leads, nurture, lose 50 of them, get 10 of them on the call. It wasn't that I couldn't get new clients. It was that was my business that had taken over the entirety of my business development efforts. The business owned me, not the other way around. Every month I started back at zero and had to do the same thing again. And now the reason most freelancers don't get this kind of gold is that they don't do the prep. When the market gets weird, most freelancers freeze. The real pros know this is your opportunity to become the most useful person in the room and to 2x your business, 3x your business as a result. A recession, tech shift, a cultural moment. These aren't opportunities to panic. These are feeding frenzies for pro freelancers. I'm going to show you how to turn one-off projects into multi-year relationships. When you start stacking up clients like that, the numbers get pretty serious pretty quickly. I've talked to thousands of freelancers over the years. And without a doubt, the number one question that freelancers ask me is, how do I get more clients? But that's not the right question to be asking to solve the problem that they're really trying to solve. When they ask that question, what they're saying is, I need to solve the problem of more income. And to solve that problem, the real question you need to be asking is, how do I keep the clients I've already got coming back for more again and again without feeling like a pushy salesperson? Today, I'm going to show you how to turn one-off projects into multi-year relationships without chasing down clients, without having to do a whole lot of convincing, and without the burnout. So let's get into it. Here's the short answer if you're pressed for time. Don't just deliver a project. Solve an ongoing stream of problems, and then you become the first person your clients think of when the next problem emerges or when you point out the next problem. But here's where the art comes in and why I don't just stop the video with that answer. Where do those problems come from? What do they look like? How do you spot them? How do you present them to a customer? How do you frame them and pitch them in a way that gets an immediate yes? Let's break that down. Most freelancers spend 90% of their energy trying to find new clients, new leads, new outreach, new trust building, new pitches every time. But here's the truth. You don't build a business by constantly starting over. You build a business by stacking what works. I discovered this principle like a lot of you will, totally on accident. I did a good job for a client. We got along. They brought me in to solve another problem. Didn't think twice. It happened again with another client. I did a good job for them. They brought me in to solve another problem. Again, still didn't think of anything of it. I'd like to say that the third time it happened, I realized that this is a phenomenon I should probably try to replicate on my own. But it wasn't until another probably year or two that I took a step back and thought, it's really convenient when a customer who I already enjoy working with emails me out of the blue and offers to give me more money. I should pop the hood on that and see if I can't make it happen more often. And when I made that conscious observation and then decision and spent time studying what the differences between the projects where the clients came back for more and the projects where that didn't happen were, everything about my business changed. Income became more predictable because I knew that if I spent every project identifying the next project, I'd likely keep getting paid by that client. Not only did my business become more predictable, it became more sizable because I was compounding my revenue. Every new client meant years of income, not just, 3 weeks worth or whatever the length of that project was. When you start stacking up clients like that, the numbers get pretty serious pretty quickly. So let's break it down. To land a client, what do you need? You need a problem to solve. You need to find someone with that problem. You need to market to them, build trust. You need to convert them, sell them, convert them from a lead into a client. You need onboarding, negotiation, contract, what have you. To land a past client, you just need a new problem to solve. That's it. Now, should you be going after both? Yeah, it's and not or. I'm not telling you to never replenish the well here, but don't you think you should be allocating the majority of your efforts to that latter client, the client that already trusts you, already knows you can get the thing done, and is just waiting for you to find a new problem to solve for them. Hey, we're trying to do more of these, all right? And in order to do that, we need to be bigger. We need a bigger audience. So subscribe, and then send this link to your freelance buddies, to your aunt that's always wanted to start a freelance business, to your friend with the 9-to-5 that could be doing better. And let's grow this page together, all right? Now, listen, I've lived that life, that early freelance hustle of try to find 100 leads, nurture, lose 50 of them, get 10 of them on the call, and maybe convert one. Before there were DMs to randomly slide into, I was going door to door. I was sending a shitload of emails, going to Chamber of Commerce meetings, handing out business cards, playing the numbers game. It wasn't that I couldn't get new clients. It was that was my business that had taken over the entirety of my business development efforts, generating leads. It felt like the business owned me, not the other way around. Every month, I had to go out and hunt for my food. And then the month after, I started back at zero and had to do the same thing again. There's no real growth there. And then finally, I realized every time I ignored a past client in favor of chasing a new one, I was ignoring actual money and momentum from my business. Let's talk about the psychology here, because this is where most people get stuck. Freelancers tell themselves, "Oh, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to bother my past clients. They already paid me. Anything more is going to be pushy." Or maybe it's just a good old fashioned aversion to the word no. Freelancers, it's like they already pitched once and got a yes. Why press their luck and counter that word no when they don't have to? But this, like so many emotional blocks in business, is easily overcome by putting yourself in the client's shoes. Imagine you're the client now. Imagine you just worked with someone who made you look awesome in front of your boss, or you're a business owner and you just worked with someone who really moved the needle for your business, who made you, who helped you make more money, who just saved you a shitload of time, who really optimized something in your business, who increased your reach by, 10 times what you ever thought was possible. And now that same person who did that for you shows up to your door with a new solution to an entirely different problem that you're trying to solve. Would your reaction be, ugh, not them again? When's this guy going to go away? Or would you let them in eagerly to hear what they have to say? Now, key to this whole thing is that V word, value. Note that in that little thought experiment, the freelancer showed back up with a solution to a new problem. They didn't show up with their hands empty, stretched out saying, "Hey, just checking in. Do you have anything new that I could work on for you?" Or "Hey, how you doing? Just checking in." Something like that. Emails that I've sent and emails that I'm sure you have, or at least freelancers have. You're different. You're saying, "Hey, here's something I noticed. Here's a solution I mapped out for you. Here's something that might work for you. Do you have 15 minutes to chat about it?" That's not annoying. That's strategic partnership. It's wild how many freelancers work so hard to earn someone's trust and then never cash in on it. So how do you turn that trust into repeat revenue? I have some thoughts. Most freelancers miss out on future work by zoning out during small talk. You know the moment. It's the first few minutes of a call where nothing's being scoped, nothing's being approved, no strategies really being spoken of, and yet everything is being revealed. Those first 5 minutes that most freelancers check out of, I call the magical first 5 minutes of a meeting. They're field research. You're not chatting. You're gathering the answers to the test. You're collecting data that are going to inform, the offers you present when it comes time to bring the next solution to this partner. This is how I spot client intel in real time. Use the PACE method to guide your note taking. P, priorities. Hey, what's top of mind for your team this quarter? What's what are you guys up to? What's the big one for you this quarter? And then you got A, PACE, P-A, announcements, new launches, new products. Hey, I saw on LinkedIn, this other team that you guys worked with announced this new product. Are you doing anything interesting to promote it? Are you guys doing anything different with this product rollout? Then you got C, 1, 2, C, changes, internal or external pivots or restructuring. Hey, you mentioned last time you guys are bringing on this new employee. Is that because you guys are you changing how you're thinking about X? Or are you going in on content? Are you going, whatever that employee was? And then E is external pressures, external industry events, news, cultural shifts, what have you. So it's like, hey, I've been hearing that, industry Y, whatever this industry is really being affected by, trend Z. Are you all feeling that? Is that something that you're dealing with right now? And then while they're answering, you're just smiling and taking notes off to the side, right? Because this ain't small talk. This is all future work. These are all problems that you get to package up solutions for and present to them at the end of this project. And now the reason most freelancers don't get this kind of gold is that they don't do the prep. You got to be able to lead the witness a little bit in these instances. And that means knowing the problems that you're likely solving for before you get on that call. Notice in all those just off the cuff examples, I mentioned a piece of industry intel or something that, was discussed in a previous meeting or something I saw on LinkedIn, from another team at that company, right? That's all research. You don't just happen upon that information and then just because you luckily found it, get to mention it in those magical first 5 minutes. No, that's work you're doing and adding to a CRM for each of your clients. It's just adding to a document of intel. This is where having a niche helps. If you know the space, you can guide the conversation towards high value ground, right? If you have a niche that you solve problems for, you can pay attention to industry influencers on LinkedIn. You can pay attention to industry literature, right? Trades. You'll know the problems that they're likely solving for, either because you've observed and documented those problems with other clients in the past or present, or because you've stayed on top of industry news. And then with this intel in hand, rather than ask a general yes or no question in those 5 minutes, like, hey, do you guys have any big goals for the year, right? You can ask a question that's guaranteed to give you some ammo. Like, I just read that, your industry is really being challenged by this. Is that something that you're feeling right now? Are you feeling the heat from that? Another way to uncover new problems that need solved, and a method that many of you are probably using unknowingly or on accident. You uncover the next problem in the process of solving the current one. For instance, a web developer might do a complete overhaul of a client's website And notice in that process that they don't really have any means of capturing leads. The world's most optimized website means nothing if it doesn't convert. That's a pretty big problem, and it's probably the one that you should pitch them next to solve. A photographer might be hired to build an image asset library for a brand to deploy on social, but then midway through, identify that their client has no idea how to position these photos in a manner that plays the game of social media. What's the point of taking awesome pictures if their deployment means nothing for their business? Sounds like a great problem to solve next. If you're paying attention, every project becomes a diagnostic tool for the next one. Hey, if you're still here, that means you really should subscribe and turn on notifications. If you knew what I knew about what content is coming, there would be no hesitation. It's just 2 quick clicks. Subscribe, turn on notifications. All right, back to your regularly scheduled programming. Last little bit on this. More often than not, communication with clients isn't as direct, right? There's subtext, and maybe they're saying things that they don't necessarily mean because they don't have the words for it, or or they assume that you understand context that you don't. Across the board, listen for stuff like this. We're growing fast, right? Things are, usually you ask how things are going. They say, oh, well, things are going really good. We're moving really quick on this initiative, or we're growing fast, or yeah, it's a big year. Lots of things are happening. We're growing fast, right? Some version of that word or that sentence. This means a number of things. It means that there might be supply issues soon, or they may need to restructure elements of their business to handle, a swath of new leads coming in. They may have some scaling issues, or they may want to leverage that growth even into even bigger opportunities, even more expansion, and in the most strategic way. We've got a big launch coming up is another one that you're going to get a lot. Or, we've got this initiative that we're working towards. Or, in Q3, they've got us all gearing up for Q3 for this announcement. Right? There's something on the horizon. So the first scenario is we're moving, things are growing. This scenario is here in a minute, we're going to be moving and things are going to be growing. This means they're likely going to have to strategize how to tell people about it. And they're restless about whether or not it's going to succeed. A lot of unknowns right now. They'll likely be all ears for anything you got that might get them closer to a little more certainty on success on that front. Your job is to turn vague ambition into a concrete pitch. If they say they're growing, offer a system to handle more inbound. If they say something big's coming up, offer ways to amplify, offer ways to convert and track success. This is the art of translation, right? You're translating their business goals into new projects, into new things that you guys can work on together. They're not hiding the next project from you. It's likely that they haven't even clocked that this is a problem you can solve for them. They're hinting at it, casually, offhand, in between the lines. It's your job to identify those and let them know that you're the solution. When the market gets weird, most freelancers freeze. They panic, they pull back, they discount, they wait, they play defense. Sometimes they come yell at me on social media about how nothing works now because the market is blah, blah, blah. The real pros know in these moments, you're not supposed to retreat, you're supposed to reposition. This is your opportunity to become the most useful person in the room and to 2x your business, 3x your business as a result, right when everyone else is ducking for cover. Let's reframe this once and for all. Business is the exchange of money for solutions. So when a crisis hits, ask yourself, are there more problems in the market now than there were before? Right? Are there more opportunities to exchange money for solutions or fewer? A recession, a tech shift, a cultural moment. These aren't opportunities to panic. These are, for lack of a better expression, feeding frenzies for pro freelancers. The pain your clients are experiencing and solving for is way out there in the open. All you got to do is build the right offer, put it in front of them. Here are 3 types of chaos you should be scanning for constantly. 1, category shifts. These are moments when something comes along and completely disrupts business as usual in your niche. Suddenly the young Turks have the advantage, and the big guys or the more established brands have to play defense and catch up at the same time. In these moments, you should be developing offers for the smaller, leaner startups looking to take advantage of the moment, as well as offers for the big guys, for the bulkier companies that are scrambling to stop losing ground to these guys. AI, platform pivots, new tech, these all signal changing workflows, which means new services are needed. One example would be Meta's Thread launch, right? New content format, faster content creation and opportunities. Suddenly you got a bunch of companies wondering how to take advantage of it. You've got the big guys that are trying to figure out, okay, how do we take this content machine that we already have and add a Threads leg to it? And you've got the little guys that are thinking, okay, how do we go all in on Threads? How do we make Threads really work for our business in a way that it's not going to work for anybody else? AI teams are, maybe looking for ways to 10x output at maybe a 1.5 or a 2x in cost. This is a big one because in that scenario, you could get paid twice as much because you're 10xing their result at a fraction of the time that you would normally put into something that you'd get paid for regularly, if ever. There was a prime example of a win-win. 2, cash flow constrictions. These are the times that are really not fun for our 9-to-5 friends. So I want to cover this with some respect to them. But a freelancer needs to understand, just because a company's had to downsize doesn't mean that there's suddenly that work doesn't need to get done. There's a huge demand for work now in those instances with those limited teams. Freelancers are often the fix here. They may be more expensive in the short term, right? Like a freelancer might make more money in 2 weeks on this project than a 9-to-5er would make, but they're just there on a project by project basis. They don't require 401k matching and healthcare and what have you. Again, it's a win-win. And just a PS to this one, if you're a 9-to-5er watching this, we're seeing now more than ever, freelancing is the safe bet for this very reason. So during moments of budget freezes, layoffs, downsizing, teams needing to do more with less manpower, your move is to offer streamlined, affordable, high ROI solutions. 3, cultural and political movements. These are moments where larger brands tend to struggle because they don't know how to speak the language of the moment, or if they should even talk at all. Some freelancers only solve problems in this space. For instance, many freelancers in the freelancing program only work with brands that have or are developing like a sustainability credo. Social justice, climate, legal shifts, all that stuff. All that stuff signals likely companies scrambling to adapt or align with the moment. And freelancers who understand tone and timing will own this space. A short story about my business during a recent cultural crisis moment, and what it meant for us and how we developed new solutions for our clients and soon-to-be clients based on it. when COVID happened, and everything shut down, we were still producing video primarily for B2B meetings and events. As you can imagine, a national shutdown, everybody stay inside order, is pretty terrible news for all the obvious reasons, but for business reasons, to entire industries that are, reliant upon in-person events. And seeing as the bulk of our revenue was still tied to the success of these events companies, whether they be agencies in the space or the companies putting on the events, you can see how it's a pretty worrisome prospect for our business as well. So I took a long walk, and I returned with an epiphany that if we were solving for this problem, then all of our clients were solving for it too. And all we had to do was put a solution in front of them, package up a solution and put it in front of them. So that day, I emailed one of our biggest clients and a couple of the other ones and pitched them on remote production for these events. And this is before. Now remote events is a thing. But at the time, there were no logistics in place, no frameworks in place for pulling this off. And we did one, and it worked. And so then you better believe I sent an email to all of our past clients in this space that, that maybe we hadn't talked to in a while. Because I knew I was probably the only one that was showing up in their inbox with a solution to a problem that I know they're all sweating right now. Every event, every agency, they all got an email from me that just said, hey, we're doing this for one of our customers right now. We're seeing a lot of success. I'd love to do it for you too. You got 15 minutes to hop on a call. Within days, we were sending out even more kits. We were packaging them in the office and shipping them out ourselves. In those moments, crisis didn't kill our business. It just redirected it towards where the profit was at that time. Right now, our new social media strategy clients, for those of you that don't know, we've recently shuttered the video business and we've started a social media consulting firm. All of these clients are eyeing TikTok with a good bit of consternation. A lot of people have built businesses over on that platform, ignoring the fact that it is indeed rented land. So an offer that we're building out for those folks now is the customer ownership model. We review their social presence, we audit what they're known for, then we build a system to convert followers into email subscribers fast. That's the opportunity. Panic is permission to develop solutions. And for posterity, in case anybody's watching this years from now, the context here is that we don't know if TikTok is going to be available in America. That's where we're at in history right now. Just let us know how it goes, people commenting years from now. All right, so let's talk about what not to do. What not to do in these moments of crisis. The wrong response for a freelancer to crisis would involve pulling back on visibility, offering discounts, offering to work for less because, there's less to go around or whatever excuse you come up with. Waiting for the clients to figure out what to do. That's your job. You're the expert. Waiting, for this all to blow over in general. Just thinking that we'll be back to normal soon. So I'm just I'll hang out here and I'll be ready to go when things are back to normal. In these uncertain times, whoever moves first gets remembered. There's a lot of growth opportunity there, but also really, the most important part is whoever stays useful stays booked, right? So yeah, look for those cool opportunities where it's like, okay, well, what's a new problem that nobody else has to fix for, nobody else has to solve for, but really make it more about staying useful. Let that inform your movement forward. A true freelancer finds use in any market. Where you point the finger is where you point the power. So point the finger at yourself. Don't blame a market. Don't blame politics. Don't blame bad times. Don't blame, a crowded social media platform. Nothing. Point the finger at yourself. That's what leadership looks like. When everybody else is in panic, that's a signal to you that there are new problems to be solved. Opportunity is abound. Your job in those moments is to solve one, then solve another. Remember this. Whenever there's uncertainty in your niche, uncertainty in business is opportunity. Too many freelancers DM me daily saying how worried they are about this coming recession because it means budgets are going to be cut down and companies are going to be less likely to hire them or less likely to stretch for whatever their offer is. Couldn't be further from the right way to be assessing the situation. If you're concerned that that all of your clients will stop spending money on you, that means you got to assess your offer. Your offer is a vitamin, not a pain pill. It's a nice to have, not a need to have. So that's step one. But step two is recognizing that a coming recession means your clients' businesses are about to be riddled with problems. And you can build solutions for them. And as long as those solutions that you build are perceived as being more valuable than what you're charging for them, you're going to do just fine. Now, let's zoom out from global chaos to the cool stuff that you're already doing, because there's opportunity there. Not every project needs to come from crisis. Sometimes the biggest opportunity is just letting your clients see some cool stuff that you're up to. You see that you're making magic elsewhere. Here's a truth that most freelancers overlook. Your best work shouldn't live in silence. And I think a lot of people think that by posting a portfolio piece or by adding something cool into their portfolio, they're checking that box. You'll hear me say your best work shouldn't live in silence, and you go right on. Mine doesn't. I posted my new project or my new portfolio to social media yesterday, Jamie. I did it. That's not what I'm talking about. Not by a long shot. I'm talking about silence in the one-to-one. If it worked well for one client, odds are, maybe with some adjustment, maybe not with any adjustment at all, it can work well for another. You just have to reach out on an individual level and have that conversation. So here's your problem. You do cool work, but you don't leverage it. So let's talk about using recent wins to spot new projects. This is going to be a quick section. It's easy. I'm just going to tell you exactly what to do. Share that exciting campaign or case study, whatever it was that you posted on social media and felt good about yourself over. Share that in an email with all of your past clients or with a client that you're currently working with, and include the line, just wrap this up and thought of you. Do you have maybe 15 minutes that we can hop on the phone to talk about how we use this to solve problem X? Your coolest work should not be sitting in your portfolio. It should be out there pounding the pavement for you in your past clients and current clients' inboxes. When you share recent wins like this, not with fanfare, not with, hey, look at this awesome thing that I just did for this awesome recognizable brand, that's not what it's about. When you share it with, hey, something in here made me think of you and a problem that you're solving. You're planting a seed, right? You're sparking possibilities. You're getting them excited about, what this exciting thing that you did for someone else means for them. And when you do that correctly, when you take that spark and you tie it directly to their goals, that project is no longer a portfolio piece. It's a pitch. It's a pitch for your next project. But here's the kicker. Sometimes the right person for that project isn't the team at that company that you've worked with. Sometimes it's the team down the hall, which brings us to one of the most overlooked growth levers in all of freelancing, and that is the intercompany referral. Internal referrals. Once you're inside the building, there's no reason to stay siloed and only work for one team of a company. So let's talk about how you can turn a single department win into momentum for an entire company. Imagine this. You're working with one team inside of a major company or just a mid-sized large company. Meanwhile, three other departments are struggling with problems of their own and looking for someone to solve those problems. And they're going to go find someone, and it's not going to be you. So here's the big idea. You don't have to sell to new clients. You just need to help your existing corporate clients look good to their coworkers. If you want more work without selling harder, make your client look like a hero to his company. It's a secret play that most freelancers never run. Here's the strategy. You do great work for one team, say like the marketing department or the products department, and then you're told that another team, say HR, is working on a new initiative. And by the way, you're told that in those magical first 5 minutes of a meeting. So you create a piece of value, a framework, a case study, or you go find something from your portfolio, and you bring it to your existing client and say, hey, we actually did something really similar for this company over here and their HR team. Feel free to pass this along to your HR department if you think it's helpful. We're happy to be a partner here. That's it. You don't pitch. You just share the intel, right? You act as a strategic partner because you are. And then your client becomes your sales rep. You deputize them to be your internal connector from their team, your point of entry into this company, to the next team that's likely going to hire you based on their recommendation because they don't want to go about the business of finding a freelancer. They got other things to do. Here's why it works. Political capital. In big organizations, everyone's trying to look valuable. If your contact at that company can say, hey, not only did I hire this killer freelancer who did this awesome thing for us, for my team, but I also then slotted them in over here at HR and they killed it for them too, you're giving them just as much of an assist as they're giving you. You're making them look like a visionary just for forwarding an email, right? And guess who that original team is going to come back to next time they need help. So how do you spot how does this play out? How does this play out in the real world? Yeah, sometimes your client will casually mention, hey, HR is solving this problem. But that's rare. More often you have to ask, just like we talked about before. Lead the witness, ask about company-wide initiatives, and offer examples from your other clients to spark ideas. Here's one of my go-to questions. I'll bring up a project we're doing for a different type of team at another company. I'll say, we're doing this for client X's sales team too. Are there any other departments here working on something like this? Is your sales team doing anything like this, right? You're providing intel, because even if they're not, your client will likely forward that email to the sales team and say, hey, are we considering this? Company X is doing this. Is this something we should do? It's stupid simple, and it's very effective, and it's not pushy at all. You don't really have to waste any reputational capital to play this card. But before you go off and do this, I feel like I have to also warn you about what not to do, because freelancers that maybe don't understand the corporate landscape or given this one a first attempt, they tend to blow this. So let me give you a few things to look out for here. One, don't pitch too early. Don't pitch a play for another team too early before the client even knows if they trust you, right? Because then they won't share you with another team, because they're not, if you're not vetted yet, if they don't know they enjoy working with you and that you're trustworthy and that you can deliver, then you're a risk to them, because if they suggest you to another team and you don't deliver, it's really bad for them. So you want to make sure that you've got their trust before pitching. 2, going around your contact to connect to other departments directly. Don't want to do that either, right? Because they know about you. They're going to talk. It's going to be weird. So just have your contact make the introduction. It's going to be better for you anyways. But if if somebody is like CC'd on the email and you just like pull that email and write your own separate email to that person, that's going to get back to your client, and your client's going to wonder why the hell you're pitching, into their company, without their say so. Along the same lines, 3 would be CCing people that didn't ask to be involved, or pitching people that didn't ask to be involved. If you initiate this conversation with your contact and you go ahead and CC the head of HR or CC the head of sales, I wouldn't do that. I'd let your contact take care of that for you. Or again, if you spot an email in a thread of emails and you think, I'm going to reach out to that person and pitch them, without ever communicating with that person ever giving you an indication that they want to be pitched something, again, that's a no-no. And then 4 would be trying to close deals instead of opening conversations, right? That's the beauty of this tactic, is that it's not a pitch. You're just sharing intel. You're starting a conversation, and saying, hey, as a strategic partner, I'm happy to help here, right? I'm just showing you some notes. The key here is to let your champion deliver the win, right? If you make them look good, they'll keep recommending you. And if you short circuit that political capital, if you do one of the things that I said not to do, then not only are you not going to gain the second project, but you're probably going to lose the trust of that client and never work with them again. So you're losing two clients, not just one. Internal referrals are probably the easiest sales at that tier that you'll ever make. But only if you remember this. It's not about pitching the next team. It's about helping your client be the bridge between what's worked and what's needed. All right, let's talk a little bit about timing across the board here, because most freelancers have no idea when or how to follow up with a past client. So what usually happens is they go silent for months or years, and then they send a one-off awkward email because they need work and some guy on social media told them to go pitch their past clients. And shocker, that email gets ignored because reactivating a past client isn't about checking in. It's about showing up with good timing and a smart offer. So let's talk about the 3 reoffer windows. Here's where reactivation on a client works the best. First and foremost, and the best window, and hopefully the one that you take advantage of every time, is immediately after the first project. And honestly, that's a little bit of a misnomer because it's technically before the first project is even finished. Before you deliver them the final asset, take them by the hand and walk them to what comes next. Walk them to the next logical problem that you're going to solve for them, either based on, conversations you've had with them, based on observations you've made, based on literally anything that we've talked about here today. Don't wait for months after the final delivery. This isn't dating. It's not, it's not lame to be the first one who talks. Don't wait for them to call you. Suggest the next project while you still got momentum. The second reoffer window. So say you missed that window, or timing didn't work out. You tried to take advantage of that window and just nothing stuck. The second reactivation window is after a sexy win with another client. Send an email like the one we talked about that just says, hey, just finished this thing and it made me think of you. Here's how we can adapt it for your brand, for this problem that I either know or have a strong hunch you're solving for, right? Because again, we've talked about this already in this video. It aligns them with the sexiness of that work that you just did, right? So they see what you did and they think, wow, we would look pretty good in that solution. And then 2, it plants it right there in the context of their problems, right? Okay, he's got a fix for this thing that I'm solving for. I want to chat with him. And then the third reoffer window would be on a quarterly rhythm. Every 3 months, I develop a new offer and I send it to my past clients list. Not a mass email. Each email gets somehow, that new offer gets presented in the context of my relationship with that client and the problems that I know that they're solving based on all the notes that I've taken over our conversations. The important thing is that I'm always showing up to their front door with a solution in hand, even if it's not always the one that they go for or not something that's pertinent to them at the time. They understand me as a strategic partner who wants to see them win. And maybe I show up with this new offer in hand and they go, "Hey, Brindle, we're not interested in that right now, but I'm really glad that you reached out because we were in a meeting talking about this and I can't believe I didn't even think of you guys. You got 15 minutes, let's talk about it." The number one thing that makes reactivation work, that makes these reactivation strategies work, is proof. By far, the most effective approach is showing what worked for another client, ideally a big deal client in their niche. We ran this thing for big deal client X. Here's some results we got. Maybe share a little intel, right? Something that feels inside. And it immediately made me think of you. Lead with intel, back with results, and close with next step. Do you have 15 minutes to hop on a call? The first time I ever witnessed the power of this email, it was an act of monetary desperation. I was living with my girlfriend, soon to be fiance, soon to be wife at the time, and I was looking at that, at the first. I was looking at rent coming up and not quite sure what to do about that. And so I fired that email off to everybody that I'd ever met in the history of me. And it got me several jobs the next week. And that one I did catch on to. I did that once and I learned my lesson. Okay, let's keep finding excuses to do that, to send out those custom, one-to-one emails to every client that I've ever worked with new offers, with new problems that I'm solving, with new examples of, sexy work that I've done for either significant clients or clients that nobody's ever heard of, but, work that I could plant in the context of that particular individual's ROI, return on investment. Most clients see client work as a one-time thing, and they miss the foundational building block of a freelance business, which is repeat business. The real trick, the real skill of freelancing is relationships, is keeping clients coming back for more, is increasing the lifetime value of your customer, not just by raising your rates, but by working with them longer, right? You can work your way up to, 10K, 20K, 50K clients, but imagine if you do that while simultaneously extending the life of that relationship to where they're coming in at those numbers, 3-4 times a year. Client retention, it's about showing up. It's about showing up with new ideas, new reasons, new solutions, new excuses to collaborate. The best freelancers, or, that's a broad term, but like the most successful freelancers I know aren't the ones who land the best, most expensive clients. They're the ones who've mastered this art of repeat business, of building a relationship with their clients that's based on strategic partnership. If you want more content like this, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. And if there are any questions you have on this particular topic, you know what to do. Put them in the comments and I'll see you there.